This is tutorial 7, case problem 1. In this problem we open a file called Modem and do a save as and save it as PC Modem. We fill out the documentation worksheet and then go to the purchase order worksheet, and that's where we'll begin. So in step 2, I'm asked in cell B5 to enter a product ID number of 1050. And then I'm asked in cell C7 to write a lookup function that will look up this modem and return the type of modem that it is. Now, if we take a peek at the product list sheet here, this is the table that it will be looking it up. So it'll look for the number here and then return the type of modem that it is. This conveniently has already been range named as product price, so we'll take advantage of that. So we'll start with equal, Vlookup, open your paren, and what we're looking up is what's in B5. Now my blue background is interfering with your seeing that, but trust me, the B5 is there. You can look in the formula bar instead. And that product price table is where we're going to look. We're going to have it bring back column 2, or the type of modem this is, and then we're going to use the false argument, which will require that it do an exact match for us. I can use this function and copy it down to the next 2 cells, but it would be smarter if I make the reference to B5 absolute, because that's not going anywhere. So I want to make sure that stays B5. Alright, let's go ahead and enter that formula, and then I'll use my fill handle and I'll fill it down. So as I knew it would happen, every time it's returning column 2, which is the type of modem. So if this one I change it to column 3, that's the model of the modem, and on this one I'll change it to column 4, and that's the price of the modem. And then you're going to type in some quantity. I'll just put a 4 there. And there is one issue that they want us to pay attention to. In step 3, they tell us that if we have an error, they want it not to just say NA. So let's force an error. There is no product 888, so I'll type that in. And that returns this error, not available. But what they want is, instead of it just saying NA, which isn't really terribly helpful, to have it give a more descriptive error message. So we have to modify this to do it. What we're going to do is work up here in the formula bar, and we're going to nest an if error in front of the vertical lookup. So if the vertical lookup results in an error, which would be the NA error, comma, then have it return a friendlier message, a more complete message. Alright, and when I press enter, it should say product ID not found. So that's more helpful than NA. I'm going to pause the video while I go ahead and do that for the next 2. You can see that I have modified my formula in all 3 cells, and it is returning a message rather than the NA. And now let's take this back to product ID 1050 and move on to the next step. In step 4, we're to enter a formula for the shipping charges. And so there's going to be 3 possibilities. We'll have standard, overnight, or express. So I think what I'll do is I'll do some data validation in this to make sure that nothing gets put in this cell other than those 3 choices. So with my cursor in B15, I am going to go to Data, Data Validation, and I'm going to allow a list of shipping methods, which I'll type. And so the first one is standard, comma. The next one is overnight, comma. And then we have express. Notice that there are no spaces between the words, only commas. When I click OK, now I have a down arrow where the user can select standard, overnight, and express, moving along to the shipping cost. The shipping cost is made up of 3 different costs. Now I don't have those costs on my spreadsheet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to nest an if function that says, well, if it's standard, then we're going to charge $9.50. If it's express, we're going to charge $14.50. And if it's overnight, we're going to charge $18.50. I'll pause the video for a moment while I begin to compose that formula. So you can see my function here. Equal if B15, or the shipping option, is equal to standard, then that's $9.50. If not, then we'll have to review. Well, is B15 equal to overnight? If so, overnight is $18.50, and the only thing left is Express, and Express is $14.50. So this nested if function will take care of that. You can pause the video if you like and study that formula. Now in the next step, I calculate the total cost. Equal the price times the quantity plus the shipping, or equal C9 times B12 plus C17. This order totals $972.58. Okay, but what happens if we have that error? Let's go back up and repeat our error. When we type in a product ID that's not found, of course we had taken care of it here, but when we get down here we have this value because it's trying to multiply 4 times a message, and that's not going to work. That's not a value. So what we need to do is we need to nest this function inside of an if error. So again, I'll scoot in between the equal and the first cell, and I'll type if error and open my paren. I'll use my end key to scoot down to the end of the formula. So you'll type a comma at the end of the formula, and then in double quotes put your message. Check product ID, quantity, or shipping cost. Now there's one issue here. I needed to go in and add a plus in front of the C9 because before there was an equal sign, and we can't have two equal signs. So I just put plus C9 times B12. You can pause the video if you like to study this formula. Save your file. This is the end of Case 1, Tutorial 7.